Is old school selling now modern? Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, we have author, consultant, speaker, good person, even though she went to Ohio State, Amy Franko. And I will be brief on today's intro and outro for a few reasons. Number one, I'm getting my semi-annual sinus infection, and I'm about to lose my voice. Number two, I have to leave for a charity golf tournament, so it's going to be a lot of coffee and cough drops. But I will endure because, that's what I do. You're in for a treat today with Amy. We go over a lot of things such as what is the role of technology today, the 5 critical skill sets that help you rise above the rest, how modern salespeople differentiate themselves, and a whole lot more. We also get into outbound marketing versus cold calling. So we leave no stone unturned in this interview. So I think you're in for a treat. If you are part of, I haven't really gone into this in the Implementors. That's our free group, theimplementors.com. If you're part of the Make Every Sale group, all right, and there's still a 1-year money-back guarantee, a 12-payment plan option, but we're starting a 30-day 10K challenge. I'm noticing a lot of people seem to be struggling in making money. And so I'm outlining specific things you can do. There's no guarantee. I'm not saying go do this one thing. I'm outlining a bunch of things, and then you have to pick one and then execute. Maybe pick 2, maybe pick 3. Now, you can spread yourself too thin, okay? But the purpose of the group and this challenge is to help you make some money quickly, decent money, fast. And if you're already making whatever, 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever, it doesn't matter. The goal is to make an additional 10K, but it's primarily focused on those who might be struggling. So that's just one of the things that we're doing over in the Make Every Sale community. Why don't you come join us? Like I said, you can make 12 payments. It's super affordable. Once you make those, you're in for life. But again, there's a full 1-year money-back guarantee. So come join us, makeeverysale.com. Now, let's bring on our guest. Amy Franko. I find out too late that you might be an Ohio State fan. So we still have to go on with the interview because I'm a man of my word. So welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
I'm great. Do you think we could still be friends?
I don't know about friends, but I'll at least record like 3 minutes of the episode and then say there's like solar flares and satellite issues and, we may disappear. But I don't know.
We'll give it a shot. We'll see how we do.
Everybody's all up in arms about the NFL. It's like college football is where it's at. All right. So that's the passion there, but I digress. I'm easy to get off tangent. You got to keep me focused. All right. That's your job.
All right. We'll do.
My wife's in the other room. She's keeping the kids quiet. So you got to keep me straight. All right.
All right. So between all of this together, we'll keep it going. We'll keep the wheels on the bus here.
Keep me on task. So you are coming out with a book. So you have, so first of all, Amy Franko, Franko, just like it sounds. That's your website. But you're coming out with a new book, right? The Modern Seller.
Yep.
Sell more and increase your impact in the new sales economy. Do we really have a new sales economy? Isn't it all old? It's all the same, isn't it? Come on. Do we even need salespeople anymore? It's chatbots, pixels, retargeting, and I don't know, SMS and MySpace.
We just need AI. We just need AI and machine learning, and that's going to solve everything.
You probably don't even talk about MySpace in your book. I mean, why should we even get that book if it doesn't have MySpace in it?
Oh, I hope it doesn't have MySpace in it. I purposefully stayed away from a major technology conversation in the book.
Yes.
The technology.
It will change.
Right?
Yeah, I know. So what's going on? What is the role of the modern salesperson? And some people even make that comment. Well, we got marketing dialed in. We've got analytics. We've got digital marketing. We're split testing. We really don't need a salesperson in our organization anymore.
Right. We've modernized because we have all this technology that we're using, and we're investing $5,000 a rep in the latest AI technology tools, what have you. And so as I was researching the book and thinking about the title of the book, I had a lot of great challenging conversations with people that would say, well, why is this book called The Modern Seller? Isn't that something that's a little bit overused? And I really had to think about that. And the reason why I stuck with that title, and I really believe in it, is that the modern seller is about doing an internal upgrade on the dimensions, the mindsets, the skill sets we need to be developing inside ourselves, inside our sales teams. That's where the modernization comes in. And all the tools, AI, et cetera, can support that, but we've got to do the inside work first.
Right. So have people changed or have they stayed the same? I mean, what does the modern seller need to know? Like the change, or are we forgetting there's a human being at the other end of the screen and we're glossing over that?
Yeah, you know what? That's a yes, and it's there are things we absolutely need to change about ourselves, about our teams, but there is also that idea that we are talking to another human, whether it's they're on the other side of email, they're on the other side of social media, face to face, on the phone. We do sometimes forget there is that person on the other side. And we get really wrapped up on what's happening inside our brains and not being focused on that other person.
Right.
So yes, that's absolutely a yes and. But there are in my research and kind of mining my own stories, there were 5 big dimensions that kind of rose above the others that I really believe that we need to build as individuals, whether we're individual sellers, we are consultants, we're leading a sales organization. There are 5 big ones that rise above all others.
So I noticed, so one of them is to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Right? How does a sales leader or even a business owner, how can they inspire and enable their salespeople to be entrepreneurial without risking that they get too good and leave them?
Yeah. So this idea of entrepreneurial and thinking about the organization that you have or even what you're selling. So, some people listening to this will be selling a more transactional product. Someone listening to this might be working in the most complex services type of situations. It's going to vary. But thinking about if I'm leading a sales team, the reason why it matters to build entrepreneurial sellers is because our prospects and our clients, they demand more of us in terms of original ideas, ways to be improving their businesses that you really just can't do if you aren't thinking entrepreneurially. And I think we have to let go of the idea, let go of the fear that if we foster that they're going to leave. I mean, they might leave anyway, but if we foster it and they stay, imagine what we could build.
Right. Are they, are customers, are they still turning to salespeople for answers, or it seems like it's all available online? I mean, if you spend 5 minutes searching for something, you'll probably find the answer.
Yeah.
So are salespeople just order takers now?
I really hope not. I'm sure there are a lot of salespeople out there that are order takers and they love to be order takers. But if we're going to be modern sellers, we have to flip that switch. We have to change. We cannot just be transactional order takers. Our clients absolutely have more information than ever before. It's information overload. We can do a ton of research as a prospect or a client. We don't always have the right information to solve our problem. So that's where a seller comes into play, being able to help them think through problems, not just an information dump. There's lots of information out there, but what we need is intelligence to solve our problems as a prospect or a client, or helping our prospects and clients find that intelligence to solve their problems. That's way different than being an order taker or just sharing what's already available to a prospect or a client.
Do people still need to be closed? You have to close that prospect. Come on, Amy. It's real hard. Third copy's yours. What do you mean you got to think about it? What is there to think about? Just for my clarification.
And what closing methodology would you prefer? The it's going away today methodology? Oh, yeah. You know what? I have always struggled with this because just that mentality of always be closing. I think about it as figuring out what the commitments are. And the commitments kind of start early on. It's, a commitment for a conversation just like this is a commitment of each other's time. Smaller commitments all along the process build that relationship. And hopefully you're kind of co-creating solutions together with the prospect or the client. And not saying it's ever going to not be uncomfortable. Sometimes asking for the business is uncomfortable. But if you've gained those commitments along the way, hopefully you've eased that process and they see it as a natural fit in wanting to work together. When we feel weird about closing, there are some missing pieces. And there's also the confidence of being able to say, you know what, this isn't a fit, and the confidence to be able to say, this isn't a fit, but let me maybe refer you to somebody else. That's powerful too.
Right. Is there a role today for outbound calling, cold calling?
So I differentiate a little bit between outbound and cold calling. And I will admit, prospecting is one of the toughest things for me to do. It's something that if I've had to build it as a habit into my processes, because if I don't have to do it, I won't do it. So I'm always trying to figure out a way, how do I warm up a potential contact? How might I know that person? There's maybe a little bit of a cold element to it, but I do believe in the power of outbound, whether it is outbound calling, outbound emailing. I like to think of it though as being more intentional, and it's not just, let me see if I could reach out to 100 people today. What if I could reach out to 5 or 10 that I've done a decent amount of research on, and I think there could be a fit here? Yes, I'm still interrupting their day, but hopefully I'm interrupting their day with something that's going to help them solve a problem. But yes, I totally believe in outbound, and I think it's a really important part of any sales business development strategy.
I am the sales whisperer. I'm never an interruption. Okay, but that's me. I'm also a Tigers fan. But anyway, I don't make me get into college football.
Oh, boy. Oh, wait, you just started it. I was not bringing up college football.
Letting me shift the focus.
Wait, LSU Tigers?
Yep.
So isn't Joe Barrow, didn't he come from Ohio State?
He did. I'm kind of liking Ohio State for the moment. I mean, keep sending us good quarterbacks, and
he had a great game.
I'm gonna ratchet down the hate for the what are y'all, crimson or maroon, or what are y'all, maroon and gray?
Scarlet and gray.
Scarlet and gray. I've played your golf course. It is a very nice golf course. So
maybe we can be friends after all.
Maybe. Don't look. You're rushing things.
Am I pushing it?
Right.
Am I trying to close this too soon?
Oh, look at me. I'm an author and a salesperson. I'm just going to push this relationship. Hey, I'm the customer here. I'm the prospect. I got to set the pace here now. So, all right. So you're talking about the research and social media, and how can a company, how can they get their salespeople doing effective research without goofing off? Because you'll see it all the time. How many calls you make today? Oh, like 2, but I'm researching. Like,
right.
Are you a PhD student? Pick up the phone.
Right.
How do you quickly get the information you need so you're effective without wasting time?
Yeah. I love this conversation because there's this like analysis paralysis, or to your point, I've made 3 calls today, but I've done this major in-depth research on this 1 or 2 people for these calls. I think this is where two things, really good individual discipline on the part of the seller, and also really good coaching on the part of the sales leader. So if I'm an individual seller, it's knowing where I want to be investing my time. So there is upfront prep. Absolutely. I have never been successful just sitting down and saying, okay, I'm just going to start picking up the phone or email or whatever my preferred method is.
I just visualize it. I've got a picture of a Maserati and a Lamborghini on my wall. Won't they buy from me now?
Is that your visioning process? Is
that not enough? Okay. All right. So where were you?
So if I'm an individual seller and I'm thinking about, there are some clients that I need to make some headway in, I'm going to set a timer for myself on how much research I'm going to do. It might be 10 minutes. It might be 15 minutes. I think there's this discipline that comes with the research, and also a comfort level with there's an agility there that says, okay, I'm not going to have all the information. I'm not going to have all the answers. I have a basic understanding, and I have enough to be and sound intelligent, that's where you have to start being disciplined and not over researching. If I'm a sales leader and I'm doing those one-on-ones with my team, daily or however often I'm doing them, and I'm looking for that and I'm coaching them to that's another way that you can tackle that same challenge.
Gotcha. So you're saying leadership matters. Interesting.
It sure does.
How come there's so few companies out there that actually give sales leadership training? It seemed like they just pick whoever was the number one salesperson last quarter or last year, and they make them the sales manager, and then they just berate all their people, and everybody loses.
Well, and this is more of a general leadership thought here, but I was doing some research, and this came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I think. Something like only 10% of organizations have, in a first-line leadership role, only 10% of organizations have first-line leadership succession plans. And so really a lot of organizations are just winging it. That's what that tells me, and especially in sales organizations. I have huge respect for a first-line leader role. I've had, in my sales career, I've had both fantastic first-line leaders and I've had really bad first-line leaders. And I mean, it absolutely makes a difference.
Right. It's, and they're hard to find.
Yeah, they are. I think it's one of the toughest jobs in sales is being a frontline leader.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So one of your 5, so we mentioned entrepreneurial, but another is holistic.
Yeah.
So is that some new age woo-woo word? Come on now. What does this really mean? Should I be talking to you?
Well, why don't we can break into some yoga poses here?
I got to sit through my chi. Wait a minute. Get my chakra going. I got to burn a candle. Where's my candle? All right.
I think you better be careful. You don't want to set anything on fire in there.
I'm fire. Sales was on fire. Holistic. Come on, I'm a coin operator. I'm a hard closing salesperson. What's this holistic business?
Oh, I haven't heard that phrase coin operated in a while.
I'm old school.
So here's the idea behind holistic. So, a lot of, you talk about holistic selling practices, account-based selling, all this stuff, which are all important. But the thing that's missing from the equation is like the individual seller, and where does that person fit into the equation of being successful? So we have this really finite amount, in any given day, finite time, energy, motivation, discipline. And the way that we choose to invest those resources on any given day is what creates our results for that day. You string enough of those days together, you're either going to create a great result or you're going to create a bad result because of the choices that you make with those resources. So that's really what holistic is about. It's really strategic productivity and managing yourself and managing your productivity so you can be successful.
So are salespeople more productive, more efficient with a tight schedule, with a tight script, or being more fluid, reactive, go with the flow?
Well, I'm going to give you the it depends answer. It does depend on the individual and what makes them thrive. So I'll use myself as an example. I am someone who thrives with a level of structure. So prioritizing what my key activities need to be for the day. What are those, to borrow a phrase from Gary Keller, what's that one thing that I need to make sure that I get done before the rest of my day, is speeding down the tracks. But I also like a level of flexibility. If I'm overly scripted, overly scheduled, that doesn't help me think. It doesn't help me re-energize, recharge. So I really, like for myself, I have to balance my structure and my flexibility. If I'm leading a sales team and I'm a really good sales leader, those are the things I want to know about my individual seller so I can coach them, guide them on how they construct their days and where they get their energy from, what they're especially great at, so that they're successful.
So should that sales leader have a precise model and only hire people that can work within that model? Say, look, this is the way we do it. This is the IBM way, or hire a wide-ranging group of people and try to manage them individually?
I like the latter of hiring a wider range of individuals, because just because your approach might differ does not mean that you are any more or less successful. So if I'm hiring a wider range of individuals, I may be getting more diversity on my team, more diversity of thought, diversity of approaches that could help make us all better. But then as the leader, that does put more on me to make sure that I'm understanding what those individual preferences are and how they are successful, for sure.
That's crazy. You have dogs on an interview. I never have disruptions. Kids never come in and write on my whiteboard, do I want dessert? Dog never barks. I mean, I thought you were a professional.
You know what? And here's the crazy thing. She almost never barks and all my doors are closed. So
I know. You just got to roll with it. I got 7 kids and a dog, and it's just, if I waited for perfect silence, I'm going to have to do this at like midnight or something. Then I'd fall asleep on my own interviews.
You may not even have a podcast if we're waiting for a perfect moment.
I know. I bring them in sometimes, like they'll like sneak in and I'm like, well, come on in and join the conversation.
So we'll thank Roxy for all of her views on modern selling and closing.
And I had a good question too. So tell Roxy, thanks a lot. Broke my concentration.
Roxy, you just ruined our interview.
So how, because it was talking about like having your different people. I mean, how do you keep from playing favorites, right? Should you, if somebody's making their numbers, I mean, do they still have to come in the office 9 to 5? Do you give them some flexibility, or do you run that tight ship and everything's, following the same structure? How do you manage that? Because salespeople can be a tough crowd, and if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. So does sales cure all sins, or do you have to have a little more structure?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind when you say that. When you talk about sales cures all sins, I've been in enough situations where someone has been a rock star when it comes to making their numbers and selling. They're crushing it, but they don't treat the people around them very well, and they're running over everybody to get to that milestone. And in the short term, they look successful, and in the long run, they are a train wreck. They crash and burn. So I've seen enough of that where you just get short-term results with that. And your clients and customers in the end, they pick up on that stuff more than we might know. But to the question about structure, some of the structure is determined by your corporate structure, your sales structure. So there might be teams where it's like you're coming into an office every day. That's the way that you all are set up. Now, in my sales environment, I worked for IBM and for Lenovo, and now I'm an entrepreneur. We had home office. We had an office, but we were home office. We were on the road. I was like your traditional field. I was in the field. But if you're an inside sales organization, you are likely, your structure is an office structure. So to that, if I think about any given team, like let's say you have a team of 10 people, you are going to have people that are going to crush it no matter what. It doesn't matter what's happening out there. They use it as fuel for the fire, and they do well no matter what's happening out there. They don't use anything as an excuse. Then you have your people on the other end who, no matter what, they're going to have an excuse why they don't make their number. They are your bottom dwellers. I call them your participation trophies. They're coming in and they're taking up a spot and they're on the team, but they aren't really doing anything to help you contribute to the number. I think your biggest opportunity.
They make the top 50% possible.
Isn't that the truth? Then you have that group in the middle that really, that 60%. That if we spend some extra time with them, coaching them, guiding them, et cetera, we can help move them along to more of those rock stars. But thinking about the people that are the real rock stars on the team, I think that as a leader, there should be latitude on what kind of incentives are created for them. It's not necessarily all a money incentive that's important, but what are some other things that will be important to them, and how can you build that as incentives into your team? So I think that I think there has to be flexibility with that.
So what does motivate people today? I mean, is the modern salesperson less money motivated? Or do they want trips? Do they want parking spots? Do they want free lunches? What are you seeing?
They want free dry cleaning and Starbucks and a ping pong table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that for salespeople or for engineers? Like, first time I saw that I was in high tech. It was the summer of 2000. I was in Austin, Texas. And this company had all this space and it was empty. And I'm living in Austin, and I kind of know the vibe there. And, it's cowboy boots and jeans and a button shirt, and these people, they're coming from New York. We're going to wear suits. I'm like, I don't know. Okay, I'm brand new, so I defer to them. And the CEO opens a door, right? This huge office in this Class A space that's 100%, it's 99% empty, but ping pong tables, foosballs, and he's in shorts. He's in like Bermuda shorts, untucked shirt. He's like, whoa, kind of formal here. I'm like, I told y'all, but I didn't say anything, right? But they had ping pong tables, and when I was in sales, I mean, I'm still in sales, but when I was an employee,
yeah,
I didn't take a break. I worked beginning to end, like, don't talk to me unless you're here to help me make a sale. So was I the oddball?
No, I don't think you're the oddball for that reason. No.
Plenty other reasons, but not for that. When it comes to sales, I kind of know my stuff. Everything else, questionable. Seek for it.
So
almost right.
So this may sound counterintuitive, but the most successful salespeople I know that I've interviewed, when I think about when I've had my most successful selling years, I mean, money is absolutely a motivator. Don't get me wrong. It's just not normally their number one motivator. Most of their number one motivator is they want to win. It's beating the competition. It's coming up with the right solution and winning that new client, winning that new prospect. The money is part of it, but most people, they love that competition, and they love to win, and they love to be a part of a winning team. That's one thing that I see more often. The money has to be there. Don't get me wrong. You can't have a lousy comp plan. You can't have a comp plan that's always changing. I've been on the receiving end of that too. I've had comp plans that have resembled like a NASA launch plan. Like, you can't figure out what you're going to get paid. You've got to have all that, and it's got to be transparent. But the winning and being on a winning team, that's typically what I see really motivating people. And secondarily, in some of the industries that I'm in, I do quite a bit of work in professional services, where sometimes sales is a dirty 4-letter word. It's earning the new client. It's the client service. It's the partnership. They're really motivated by that. And the money has to come along with it, but it's just not the number one thing.
Why do business owners or executives feel the need to punish their good salespeople? Right? It's like, oh, Amy, fantastic. You did 200% of quota. So now that's your new quota, and we're raising it 50%. I mean,
Yes.
like, it's like they know how to take the starch right out of you, right? And it's like the end is near. Why does that seem to be the norm?
I wish I had the answer to that question. I see it so often. I've seen it a lot in technology and tech. I can't really speak to other industries, but I've seen it quite a bit in tech. It's that hero to zero. You crush your number, you're 200%. I've seen some organizations where they will cap your commissions. You may have hit 200%, but we're only going to pay you at 150.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the lack of transparency with a sales plan. I've seen the swizzling of quotas mid-year, which drastically affects people's pay. And then to your point, you hit 200% of your quota, and yes, that's going to be your quota plus 50%. I mean, that if you're looking for a recipe to lose good salespeople, that's pretty much it right there.
Right.
Besides, really, and that contributes to bad sales culture. Bad sales culture will absolutely kill your company.
Right. What do you think about assessments for hiring salespeople?
You know what? So I'm not an assessment expert at all. I have seen assessments used really well. I've seen them used really well. I've also seen them where they haven't worked as well. Maybe they haven't been applied, or they're only used when you get in the door, but then they aren't used beyond that. So I'm definitely not an assessment expert, but I think that there is validity in using assessments and using the data smartly. But I also think that you have to use that data along with a great interviewing process, really being able to vet the results that somebody has created so that you can figure out what's going to be their potential at the organization. I've seen too many times, and I've even been on the receiving end of it, where someone's been hired and they look great on paper, they interview really well, and then they get in the door and they don't succeed.
The last sale they made was the interview.
Right. I remember one person telling me that when they interviewed somebody, they're like, this person interviewed so well, and I'm still waiting for that person to show up. It's like, ooh, ouch. Sometimes I've seen that lack of success and I'll use myself as an example, where I've hired somebody and I'm part of the reason why they weren't successful, because I either wasn't clear enough in my expectations, I wasn't clear enough with their territory or the services or the type of seller that I'm looking for, an entrepreneurial seller, a professional seller, someone who's more of a hunter. I think as a hiring, you're hiring a sales team, being really crystal clear on the kind of person you're looking for.
Yeah. And they're usually not crystal clear. They're usually reactive. Oh my gosh, our top person just left. Hurry.
Right.
So where should they spend their time? Let's say you got 10 salespeople, 2 are great, 2 are dogs, 6 are mediocre. Where should that business owner spend their time and energy?
Yeah. So most of the time where they are spending their time and energy is with the 2 dogs. on the lower end, that's where all of their time and energy and resources are getting sucked into babysitting those people that just aren't performing. So I think as a leader, as a business owner, I have to be looking at first, okay, where am I spending my time? And if I have the ability, if I have a couple people that are on that lower end, it's not going to get any better. I had an advisor one time tell me, she asked me a question and she said, Amy, she's like, I want you to think really hard about today's performance of your team. What tells you it's going to be any better in the future? And so if you're looking at that, what tells you that it's going to be any better in the future? And if it's not, then making a move to move those people out, as hard as that is. I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But where I would be investing my time after that is making sure my rock stars are happy, understanding what's going to make them happy and keeping them happy. And then I would be investing my coaching time looking at my middle 60%, my middle 6. What can I do to get them closer toward that rock star status?
What do the successful ones want? I mean, have you seen an overriding theme? I know we talked about, it's not necessarily money, but I mean, they want to win. But anything else you've seen, like an overarching theme?
Yeah. So the overarching joke that I often hear is that the reward for a job well done is more work.
Yeah.
It's more work. It's more territory. It's more quota. So first of all is making sure that that's not happening to them as much as you can control it. And sometimes in big organizations, I get it. You can't control that. Some of that stuff comes down from on high, but the more that you can control that, the better, because you start overloading them, they're not going to stay. Every person's going to be different. So I would be asking my rock stars what specifically will keep you here and keep you happy, and understanding, if you have the latitude to deliver on those things, then, that's that individual attention to what is going to make them happy. So for somebody, they might want a stretch opportunity. They might want to maybe get an international assignment, or they might want to try something different in the organization. So you have to be ready for what they're going to say, and see if you can deliver on that. So I know that doesn't specifically answer your question on what they're saying, but I think everybody's different, and it's important to pay attention to what's important to them.
Is it bad to have like a lifetime salesperson? Somebody that's like, they've been in the job 10 years, 20 years, or should you push them to take on more, become a manager, or is it okay to have somebody be in that same role for 10 years and never take on that more responsibility?
So I think so I'm thinking of somebody when I was in my first role at IBM, I was super fortunate to have somebody that I was able to shadow, and she was a rock star. She did not want to be a sales leader. She wanted to be a first line manager. She wanted to be a seller. And she was very clear about that. She had been in that role and in that territory for a minimum of 10 years, maybe longer when I got there. And she never lost that fire for being successful. She was always, she made her number year after year after year. Didn't just make it, but she exceeded it year after year. She was always on fire about it. She was always positive. She was always learning a lot of these things that I think make a modern seller. So I think it's a judgment call. If you have somebody that's like that, man, keep them, and they can mentor other people that are on your team. So I remember that person, and I still have a relationship with her, and I met her almost 20 years ago. So if you have someone like that on your team, they are a keeper. Right. If you have someone who's been in that role and they don't have the fire for it, they're just kind of skating on. They're not, they're skating by. They're not getting new business. They're not expanding their clients that they have. Then you may have a decision to make.
Right. Very cool. Well, our listeners do not have a decision to make. They should get your book, right? The Modern Seller. Can I get an amen?
Amen to that.
Right.
We just made it easy for them. No decision made.
So we will link to that. So we're going to have your episode come out because your book is going live soon. So October of 2018, when everybody's listening to this. So we're going to publish your episode right around there. So late October, I'm going to try to pull it up a little bit for you. But we'll be going live right around the time your book comes out. But I'm sure they could pre-order it, right?
Yes. So there will be pre-order available. If you go out to amyfranko.com, you can download a free chapter of the book. That'll get you on the list, and then we can let you know when you can pre-order. And we're going to have some other goodies to go along with the book, some downloads and some worksheets to go along with the book.
Well, you promised me lots of worksheets and pictures, so it would keep my attention, and like big fonts, right, and little words.
So really big fonts and lots of pictures.
All of this is like a facade. I only have 2 books at home, but one of them's colored in. So that's like a green screen back there. So pay no attention.
I love it.
All right. amyfranko.com coming out with The Modern Seller. Thanks for coming on the Sales Podcast. It's been great.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day. Should you use assessments? When to follow structure? When to go with the flow? What motivates the modern seller? A lot of things going on in there. Humans are interesting creatures. Salespeople are interesting humans. I don't know. Are we even human? The jury's still out. But hey, you and I know that the best salespeople are usually the best put together people. We are interested in others. We ask great questions. We listen. We have empathy. We can relate. And we help the prospect solve their problems, even if we're not the ones that can solve it, right? Even if the best we can do is refer them to someone else. So take pride and, take honor in the fact that you're in sales. If you're part of our community, you understand the 4-part series, the 4 pillars that Steve Clark, my coach, taught me 12 years ago. That selling is a calling. Serving is its purpose. Questioning is the process, and a sale may be the solution. That's what's instilled in everyone in the Make Every Sale community. So check it out, makeeverysale.com. Come hang out with us. We talk about this book, talk about all my guests, talk about the techniques, the strategies. Every single week we're on a live call, and that supplements the on-demand content, the videos, the workbook, the constant things I'm adding to the group to help you grow your sales. Okay? 12-part payment plan, 1 year money-back guarantee. So come join us, makeeverysale.com. Now go sell something.